Headshot!
Hi, and welcome back to Wounded on Sixes. Today we'll be having a Star Wars Armada battle report. I'll be running the Empire faction, and my opponent will be running the Rebel Alliance. I already did a video on the list that I'll be running today, so let's get to my opponent's list now. To start off, my opponent is bringing an MC-80 battle cruiser with General Madine, Whalix Blissix, Gunnery Team, Mon Carin, Leading Shots, XI-7s, and Spinal Armaments. They are also bringing an MC-30 Scout Frigate with Farsight, Ezra Bridger, External Racks, and Ordnance Experts. Following that up, they have a CR-90B with Jaina's Light and SW-7 ion batteries. Rounding out the list, he has a GR-75 medium transport with munitions resupply, Shara Bay, Tycho, Lando Calrissian, and one A-Wing squadron. So with my opponent having the bid, they decided to go first and chose from my objectives. They chose Planetary Ion Cannon. The way I like to use Planetary Ion Cannon is I like to set up my ion token markers in the center of the board if possible. And then I kind of like to line my fleet up behind it. The reason is I feel the best way to come at this fleet is straight on and to block the interdictor, which doesn't move very fast, and stop it from moving, forcing these ships to have to kind of either slow down or turn around to try to continue to protect it. And that way, my whole plan is off kilter. The plan here is to keep the entire fleet together and have multiple firing lanes, overlapping firing lanes, and also protection. So the support ship here moving shields over to here, or moving shields over to here, or this support ship pushing engineering tokens over to here and here and here, or pushing some of the squadrons that don't have rogue. My opponent set up essentially the way I was expecting them to set up. They set up to the side of the tokens and kind of basically in the corner of their deployment zone. My feeling here is that they're going to try to do this big maneuver here to come around my flank because they have Madine to do a lot of movement shenanigans. And that's essentially what we're going to see happen here is my opponent's going to try to do this maneuver where he tries to come around and outflank me. What I did is set up exactly the way I want to counter that. I have my interdictor here, and then I have my two gladiators on the flank. This is my strong side here. So that I'm going to go straight at my opponent and let him do that curve. And if you notice, when he comes around and does that curve, he'd be right in the middle of multiple firing lanes. Since he's going to go first, he's going to have to put himself in a position to get at me, and I'm going to get the last activation. So I'm going to get to choose. If he gets to move this first, if he moves this Liberty in first, I'm going to be able to shoot it with all of my firing arcs and then move along. And I'm going to be able to mitigate any damage. What I don't want is for him to swing around with this and then use the rest of his fleet to block me in this area here. Okay, so what I'm hoping is the rest of the fleet will follow the Liberty this way, clearing a path here for me to continue to go straight and then wait for him to come in so that I can do my damage and then heal up my interdictor. So this is the start of the game. We're going to move on to after turn one. So here we are in turn two. My opponent has used Madine to make a pretty much wild turn with this CR-90 here, and he's coming around the flank with the Liberty like I thought. I'm a little nervous because I feel like he's going to try to set up a blocking maneuver right around this area for next turn to try to block my fleet from moving forward and trapping me between the MC-30 and the Liberty. Me, I'm going to continue to treat the Liberty and the CR-90 as I would on any type of flank. I'm going to continue to move straight while presenting two different firing arcs here from the gladiators, and then also I can move them off and get some long range shots using my decaps with the interdictor. This is the kind of flight pattern that I want, although my Gazanti was a little out of position and doesn't actually get to push any of the defenders that I brought it to push. So that is a mistake and a problem for us. But our support ship is ready to use projection experts to heal any ship that comes into contact. Our opponent is kind of doing what we want, and the hope is that we're going to be able to force him back into this zone here with these ships, and he'll miss us completely and then have to take some of the ion cannon fire. That's what we're going to hope. We're going to move on to turn 2 to see what happens. End of turn 2, beginning of turn 3. My opponent finished his big swing around this asteroid with his Liberty and his CR-90. We did have a little bit of a squadron battle. I was able to take out his one generic A-wing, but he came in with a crazy roll with Lando, who's a real problem, into one of my IG-88s and took it down with one shot. I believe the IG-88 did take some counter fire, which caused him to go down. And that's not the IG-88 that ignores counter. It's the other one. IG-88B, I believe. So that was unfortunate. We get down one A-wing, but the power of Lando is definitely being felt. I still don't feel like I'm in a bad position. Again, I'm out of position with my Gazanti to push the squadrons in any meaningful way. Although I have set it up that my Merrick here can do a bomber run on this Liberty, and so can Bosk, which is only going to leave one defender in my IG-88 to have to deal with his squadrons, which is not the best and not ideal. I'm expecting a close range shot from the MC-80 or MC-30, I'm sorry, and then I expect it to kind of try to come around again and maybe hit into my interdictor. I'm hoping to kind of brunt the shot, be able to heal him, move him up into a position here to maybe do some damage to the GR-75. And I'm hoping that the Liberty comes in and starts to curve up a little bit more and lands right in this zone somewhere so that we can get shots with this essentially conga line of ships. So we're going to go ahead and end it there, and we're going to be back for the end of turn 3, beginning of turn 4. So as we come into the end of turn 3, beginning of turn 4, my opponent did get a shot on my lead Gladiator with his MC-30. It definitely did some damage, but he kind of rolled poorly, and I was able to mitigate most of the damage. Didn't really put much back on him with my salvo that I had on him. I did get some shots on the GR-75, but unfortunately he was able to kind of spike the scatter on both of my shots, and I was not able to destroy it. He was able to destroy my generic TIE Defender, again with Lando, who's causing a real issue. The support Gladiator was able to send some heal some shields onto the torpedo Gladiator, and the interdictor is kind of just sailing away. Now, unfortunately, I did not get a picture of the end of round 4, which is the last round that we actually played because the game had to end abruptly. But essentially, the Liberty came moving in. It took some shots against the... it eventually would catch up to the interdictor. It would try to do some shots, and it failed. The reason was Brunson and targeting scramblers, and then whatever damage did get through, we ended up healing. At that point, my opponent decided, and I decided, that we were going to end the game there. The hope was that he was then going to, if we did get another round, he was going to get close enough to fly into here and start taking some damage. At this point, I had whittled down the shields on the Liberty enough that I feel like if I could have get one really good shot with the interdictor again, and maybe continue to harass with these with Merrick and Bosk, that I could actually take this thing down with the help of some planetary ion tokens. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the end of the game there, so it is kind of a bummer. Kind of a weird match. It seems like we were kind of both trying to avoid each other while also trying to damage the ships that we thought we could. The interdictor played exactly like it should. It was hard to kill. It has a lot of tricks that it could do. It can really mitigate a lot of damage with the targeting scramble rerolls, with the Brunson ignore, and then the interdictor title being able to refresh one of those upgrades, as well as projection experts being able to add shields, and the 5 engineering. It's just a really fun attrition build, and the 2 gladiators really do complement it because they help with damage output, especially in close range. They're one of the few ships in the Empire that have the support upgrade to be able to bring the projection experts like we need. So yeah, I think my opponent probably would have been better off just facing the ion cannons and trying to block me instead of doing this big maneuver, which I think it was just it was too wide. If it was a little sharper, you probably would have caught me dead center in the middle. So a couple of mistakes by my opponent, a couple of mistakes by me. It's been a while since I've played a full Armada game, so bear with us. We do hope to bring you more games, more live updates. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and come back to Wounded on Sixes for more.